Hello, my name is Avi Bagchi, and today I'm going to be talking about the project I submitted for Albany Hacks 2020, and I worked on this project with Labesh Baral, who is also an entering junior at Shaker High School. So a big problem right now, because of COVID-19, is that a lot of huge companies are going out of business, such as Hertz, or the rental car company, and Kodak, the camera company. And since they're going out of business, it has paved the way for widespread market manipulation, stock market manipulation. And what these companies are doing is they're issuing shares that aren't actually worth anything in their company. And so therefore their company is being valued at a much higher price than it should be since they're out of business, but people keep buying their shares. And inexperienced investors who are misinformed often invest in these economic bubbles, and they don't really know what they're investing in, and it's contributed to people losing a lot of money. So the best way to stop this is to inform people. So that's why we made this application in Python that gives you helpful stock market information, um, and tracks current stock prices. So as you can see, you have many options here. You can press 1 for major statistics, you can press 2 for general stock market news, 3 for candlestick data, 4 for advanced metric, and so on. So let's start with 1, and then I'll explain how it works. So if I type in 1, and now it's asking for the ticker of the company you want. So all the ticker is just a shortened version of the name of the company. So let's go to let's see what Tesla's ticker is. So Tesla's ticker is TSLA. So let's type in TSLA. So now, as you can see, it gives you many metrics. This is your major stock data. This is very important data. It gives you the price of the share, the change, the daily change, the yearly change, the volume, the beta, which measures volatility in the stock, the float, which is important especially during this time because the float represents the number of unrestricted shares, and the float is said to be directly correlated to if the stock is being manipulated or not. So this is a good indicator of whether you're investing in a volatile stock or a stock that's a safe investment. The shares outstanding is the total number of stock, and the percent is just the float over the shares outstanding. Okay, so how does this work? So let's go to PyCharm here, and I'll explain how this works. So we're going to import Beautiful Soup, which is the web scraping package we're going to use. And let's go back down to get price. So this is going to give us all the major stock data we're going to need. So we're going to go to this URL, and this is going to give us some major stock data. So this URL leads us to Financial Times. Okay, and this gives us some major stock data like price, today's change, shares traded, etc, and it gives us the float. And that's what we're interested in. So we want to scrape this website. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the beginning part of the URL and we're going to add this URL to a string. And this string is what we put in the program. So this is what the user inputted. And this is the ticker value. So as you can see, the end of the URL, it ends in the ticker value. So all we're doing is we're just changing that ticker value, and depending on what the user inputs, we're going to lead them to a different website. So in this case, the ticker was Tesla, so we lead them to Tesla. We opened the URL, we read the URL, and using the Beautiful Soup, we got the soup, which is all the data we need, and then we extracted a specific class from the HTML code in the specific website. So I'll show you how that works. So basically, what we did is we right-clicked, we pressed inspect, and all we did is we looked for the specific data we wanted. So if we wanted price, okay, and then we would extract the class names that would give us this price value. So I'm not gonna go through that because that takes a while to figure out which classes belong to which data values you may want. But that's the basic process. And once you have the classes, then you can basically extract any data you want off of a website. So that's how we got the price off the Financial Times website, and that's the major data we're gonna want, and we put that in a nice table, as you can see here, using Tabulate. Okay, so now let's move on to number two. Okay, so number two gives us the general stock market news of the day. So what's going on in the market today? All right, let's see. Um, Now I'm gonna press in two. And now as you can see, it gives you this notification that says, for advanced data, go to finihub.com.io. So the reason this message shows up is because now we're not web scraping anymore. We're going to take this data from an API. Okay, and this API, fortunately, is free, and it automatically generates an API key. You just make an account real quick, and I'm going to copy and paste this API key into here. All right, and now I'm going to press enter. And as you can see, it's this huge list of all the stock market news for the day. And let's scroll up here, and it says statistics will be exported into an Excel spreadsheet. All right, so let's find that Excel spreadsheet so we can see this data, these headlines in a more readable format. So let's go to downloads, and as you can see, I have an Excel spreadsheet right here that it generated for me. And let's open it. And it gives you all the articles for today and the links associated with them. So you can check those out. And as you can see, there's articles from different websites from different parts of the world. Many from CNBC. There's one from Bloomberg about different companies. Okay, let's move on to the third one, which gives you candlestick data. And all candlestick data is, it tells you movements in the securities of the stock data. Okay, let's type in 3 and see what happens. Okay, so again, statistics will be exported into an Excel spreadsheet. And let's type the ticker of a company you want. Okay, let's try a different company this time. Let's try Apple. Let's see what the ticker is for Apple. Okay, so we can see the Apple ticker is AAPL. All right, let's see that. Um, for advanced data, go to finhub.io again. So we're gonna have to get that API again. So let's copy and paste this again, and let's put it here. And as you can see, there's this whole mesh of data, and as you can see, it's split up into many sections. C stands for close, and there's gonna be open, high, and low somewhere.
Now press 4 to find advanced metrics.
And it's going to be exported into an Excel spreadsheet. And let's pick a different company this time. Let's see Microsoft. So MSFT is the ticker for that one. And we're going to type in our API key again. And again, these are an extensive array of advanced statistics that you can look at. And in a Excel spreadsheet, we can see that again, and it'll give us our advanced metrics right here, and they're all labeled accordingly. And I'll explain how we access FinHub and all of that in our code after we get done with a few more of these that access data from FinHub. Okay, now let's look at the media sentiment. So this is basically, what does the media feel about certain companies today? Okay, let's stick with Microsoft here. Let's go MSFT, and then type in our API key. And as you can see, I guess no one was talking about Microsoft today because the buzz is none, no company news score. So Microsoft wasn't in the news today. So that's what that tells us. Okay, now let's move on to company news. And this is going to give you the news related to the company for the day. Okay, let's go to 6. Um, and statistically export an Excel spreadsheet. So let's think of a company that's been in the news lately. Let's go with Apple again. And for advanced data, I'm just going to type in the API key again, and I'm going to go here, and let's copy and paste that. And as you can see, Apple has clearly been in the news. This long list of news articles about Apple. And again, we can go to our files and downloads, company news. And as you see, all these articles with their links are right here. So that's pretty convenient. And so now let me take a pause to explain how we got the data from FinHub. So unlike like we did for number one, we're not using Beautiful Soup this time. So we're not web scraping this time. We're going to use the request package to access the FinHub API. So let's move down here. As you can see, we could do r is equal to request.get, and we go to FinHub, and then the symbol equals, and again, when the user types in the ticker, we're going to add that to the URL, and coder represents the API code we entered in. So two inputs by the user forms this URL, and it accesses the data. So after we get our data from FinHub, it's going to give us a bunch of data, but it's going to be in a JSON format. And to make this data more readable, we want this data in an Excel spreadsheet. So to do that, we're going to use pandas. As you can see, we imported that. Um, so after we imported pandas, we're going to do PD data frame, and we're going to take the JSON and send it to an Excel spreadsheet, and we're going to name it candlestick.xlx. And we're going to repeat this for all the other options I showed you that are all from FinHub. So we're going to repeat the same process. So now let's go back to here and let's try out some more things that don't use FinHub. So now we want to get stock data that's from right now, so real-time stock data. So we're going to press 7 to do that. Now to get real-time stock data, let's pick another ticker. So let's look at Kodak because they just went out. They just went out of business. So let's see how their stock's doing. So we're gonna look at KODK. So we're gonna type in KODK and enter your email to receive alerts. So I'm gonna show you what this does later on. So I'm gonna type in my email. So I'm gonna press enter. And now it's going to give us a bunch of data. Again, the candlestick data, open, high, low, close, and volume. And as you can see, it's now asking me to wait for more updates for the prices or to quit. Okay, so basically this updates every 60 seconds. So every 60 seconds, these are going to be, this may be new numbers, they may be the same if the prices change, whether or not. So the market's closed right now, so the prices are not going to change, so I'm just going to quit. So however, the reason I typed in my email is that the program is gonna notify me whenever there's a huge change in the stock. So what we programmed to be is that if the change is over 4%, so then we're gonna get notified. So as you can see right here, the absolute value of negative 0.05, it is greater than 4%. So I should have gotten a notification. So let's check my email. So let's check my email. And as you can see, I received a stock alert and Kodak stock has exceeded a 4% change. So it alerted me for that. So that could be very helpful to traders and to know when to buy or sell the stock, especially inexperienced ones, to avoid them making bad decisions. So now let's go back to our function get stock real time. So what the API Alpha Vantage does is it gives us an API key that we can use to access our data. So this is the API key there. And what we can do, we can access this data at specific time intervals using time series, and we're going to output that data and we're going to get a specific portion of that data, and this data is called the closed data. And this closed data is very important because it's very important to traders to measure the volatility of a stock. And again, as I mentioned before, volatility of the stock is very important, especially when you're trying to measure stock market manipulation and to know when to buy and when to sell. So this is a very important thing that traders have to know. So we're going to print that out and we're going to calculate the percent change in the stock. And if the percent change exceeds 0.04, meaning that it's fluctuating greatly, then we're going to notify the trader by sending it to a Gmail account. Now let's keep going. Let's see what else we have. So press 8 to get a graph of the moving average. So the moving average is extremely helpful to stock traders to know when to buy or sell their stock. So let's press 8 and type in the ticker. So let's stick with Kodak API key. And as you can see, it gives us this nice graph. So let's take a look at this graph. Okay, so the blue line represents the moving average of the stock, and the moving average of the stock is very important. It gives us the average price of the stock over a set period of time. And this period of time goes from July 29th to August 11th, which is actually today. So the moving average is significant because if you measure the distance from the close value to the moving average, it's going to tell the trader whether to buy or sell. So if the close value is far below the moving average, that's going to tell the trader to buy because naturally, if the stock price is low, you should buy it when the price is low because the price is eventually going to move up, and then you can sell once the price is far over the moving average. So this is very helpful for traders. And remember, this is the graph for Kodak, which is represented by KODK, and this is significant because Kodak has been manipulated recently, and people are manipulating the stock, which is explains why the stock is so volatile. That's why you see such a large change, and how it veers so far away from the moving average. So as you can see, it's far below the moving average. Then suddenly, just recently, it goes far above the moving average, and that's because people at Kodak, were manipulating the market in a way that they're issuing more shares of the company to increase the market value of the company, even though their company is already out of business. So Kodak is already out of business, but their share price is very high, and they're manipulating the market. They're convincing people to buy shares in an actually worthless company. And as you can see, it went way up. And then suddenly it had a massive drop. This is an example of an economic bubble. So once the people invest in something that's not actually worth anything, um, then that causes a severe crash. And this happened several times throughout history, such as the Great Recession. This same thing, just of course on a much larger scale. So this is a very interesting graph to show that. So now I'm going to talk about a little bit about how we got the moving average. So it's a very similar algorithm to what we did above to get the stock in real time. So we're going to use the Alpha Vantage API, not the FinHub API. We're going to use the Alpha Vantage API and import tech indicators, which gives us some important data that we're going to need to make our graph. And speaking of graphs, we're going to have to import the matplotlib package. And the matplotlib package is going to help us put all this data on a nice looking graph. And again, we're going to get the closed data because this is the most useful data to measure volatility. And using tech indicators, we're going to get the moving average. And then we're going to put this all on a map and we're going to plot it using matplotlib. So that's basically a basic overview of what we did. Okay, so now let's take a look at some other features. Okay, so let's look at price target. So this is basically the projected value analysts came up with to see what would the projected price be based on historical data. So let's type in 9 and let's do Tesla. And now we're gonna go back. This is from FinHub again, so the same algorithm we used for the previous ones. So let's type in the API key and it gives us some data here. The target high, this is the target high price, this is the target low price, and this is the target mean price. So that gives some useful information, and we can do this for any company. Okay, now let's look for some recent trends in the data. So we're going to type in 10 to do that. So again, we're going to export this data to an Excel spreadsheet because this is going to be a huge amount of data. So let's pick a different company now. Let's see McDonald's stock. So MCD is the ticker. So let's type in that and the API key again. This is from FinHub again, and it gives us all this data. And now let's check our files and our downloads, and we can see recent trends have showed up, and it presents this in this nice format, and you can make this into a graph. And this is going to tell the trader when to buy, when to hold, and when to sell. or when to strong buy, which means they're confident that you should buy, and when they're confident you should sell. Okay, so that's pretty much it. And if you wanna quit and stop the program, you're gonna press 11, and you're done. So for get price target and get recent trends, we used a very similar algorithm that we used above. We're gonna use FinHub. We're gonna implement the ticker, which I call stringer, and the coder, which represents the API key, and we used request to get this again. So now I'm gonna use this to talk a little bit about how we use the JSON files to format the data correctly. So we're gonna get all the keys from the JSON files. So all the values before the colon, and then we're gonna get all the values by taking all the numbers or strings after after the colon, or so after the headers. So and then we're gonna print them and add spaces and colons to make it look a bit nicer. And we did the same thing for recent trends. So thanks for watching. We learned a lot from doing this project. We learned how to web scrape. We learned how to get extract data from APIs, and we learned how to use several different packages. And I hope you thought that our application looked useful, and I think it could be a great resource for future traders. Okay, so thanks.